Thanks God. Ooh,
Yeah, it's not an easy word to say.
it's not. Okay, we are live. We are live. We are live. I want to let me see. I believe we on. Are you on your Facebook, Cello?
No, it's not on Facebook yet.
No, oh yeah, I forgot. So the Facebook is delayed just a second, like a little bit. So I will wait just a second because Facebook is delayed a little bit. I did
Okay.
find that out, which is fine. I'm gonna do a little thing in the chat, and then we're gonna give it 2 seconds, and then we're gonna get started because we have a long.
We have a lot to cover.
We got a lot to cover. Oh, that's on my YouTube. Okay. Hello, Lori. You're on here. Yes, I am. I am. So, welcome to Bedroom Noise. How was your day, Cello?
Oh my God, my day was great. I had a wonderful day. I was promoting a lot, spending a lot of time learning social media. That was always good.
Okay.
And how about you? I can't believe you flew to Atlanta today. This is crazy. Like we're like thousands of miles from each other right now.
Yeah. You wasn't supposed to drop my low.
But,
But yes, I did fly here. It's no secret. It's out the bag now. But
oh,
yes,
I'm sorry. I didn't know it
it's
was.
okay. It's okay. I don't. I just. Everyone always wants to know where I travel, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. But a lot of time I travel solo, so I'm always trying to make sure I'm covered and protected a little bit. But it's okay. It's not a secret. I could take. I'm a big girl. I could take care of myself. But no,
Okay.
yes, I actually thought that I was going to arrive in out here in Atlanta at 12. So I said, oh, I'll have all this time to relax and prepare. No, I got the time zone mixed up and I thought, and so today has been a day. It has been a day, but we're here and I'm excited. I'm excited that you're here. And I think we should just get right into it because we have a lot to cover
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we have a
yeah.
lot to cover. So
Yeah.
welcome. Welcome to Bedroom Noise. I will say this a little bit later, but this podcast tonight, Bedroom Noise, is going to be slightly different from how we normally do it, just slightly. And I'll explain a little bit about that later. I really would like you to get busy in the chat and throw in those pink bows to let me know you're here. I really, really appreciate you being here tonight. So thank you. It's 11 o'clock out here too. So I'm also dealing with this time zone. But you know what? We're here. So I'm just going to get started. Not every question has an answer. Not every wound has a simple explanation. This conversation tonight is an invitation to listen, to reflect, and to consider how our earliest experiences continue to shape the way we love, the way we trust, the way we forgive and heal. May it encourage honest conversations long after this one is over tonight. So, welcome to Bedroom Noise, a grown and sexy, intimate relationship podcast with your very own Jameka Necole. Let's get undressed together and let's chat about it. Here, undress simply means choosing to be emotional vulnerable, completely exposed, dropping your defenses, and stripping our guards. The mission of Bedroom Noise is to restore, repair, rebuild, and reconnect love and relationships. We're going to do this through active listening, emotional regulation, radical empathy, and curiosity over judgment. Every conversation is an opportunity to explore the many ways we connect emotionally, physically, sexually, intellectually, and through experiences that shape our lives. So this topic tonight is Girl on Fire. And I'm going to not explain the title just now because I think it's going to be explained shortly. Okay. So again, like I said, tonight is going to be slightly different. Please ask questions, make your comments in the chat if you choose. We will answer comments and questions or at the end. And of course, I love for you to drop those emojis in the chat. Let me know you're here. If I step away, a little disclosure, if I step away for a minute, know that I'm okay. Know that I will be right back. I just need a moment because this, it's my story. And as much as I've shared it, sometimes I may need to just step away because I have to keep it G up here. So bear with me. And also know this is my story. It's my story. And this is how I viewed it. This is my research that I've done. This is all the gathering and everything I've done. This is my story. I don't mean to come here to offend or hurt anybody by telling my truth. But if you got caught up in it, I may have to share it. So I'm gonna just leave it like that. But it's not to hurt anybody, blame. We're here to help heal and tell my story. That's why we're here. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so where's okay. So I really hope my story, my journey brings greater awareness, empathy, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, and ultimately move love into the world. We're not here for sympathy and it's no pity here. So we all have a story. This one just happened to be mine. And I also know there are so many other more stories that are traumatic than my own. Pain isn't something that we measure or compare. My hope is simply that sometimes in our journey, my hope is simply that something in my journey might help you better understand your own. Okay, so feel free to put those emojis, you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. I just want to also share that I've been researching my story since the age of 18 years old, and maybe even earlier, but for sure by the age of 18, I started researching my story. I was starred and I was stopped. But in 2016 I finally shared my story publicly for the first time. Since then, I've spoken at churches, schools, organizations, and then even one-on-ones when I felt it could help someone. So tonight is the largest platform that I've ever shared this with. So this is going to be a little bit, this is different. So this is my largest platform that I've ever shared it with. So bear with me, everyone. Okay. I want to thank you all for showing up tonight. For the ones, my friends who've returned and my new friends who've joined. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So let's get it. I would like to introduce this week's co-host, Cello Bice. Thank you for joining me tonight. I want to share a little bit. Cello and I met in 2020. Over the years, we became good friends. He's a writer, an educator, and a storyteller. And you'll hear a little bit more about his storytelling too at the end, or maybe even in the, actually, Cello, if you want to put that in the chat anytime you like, go ahead and put that in the chat, your information, and then we can still talk about it. But he's a storyteller, and I would love for you guys to check him out. When we met, Cello was the artistic director of Savant God, and he and his team believed my story deserved to be told on the biggest platform, the stage possible. And together we began developing a documentary called Girl on Fire, with the hopes of taking it to the Sundance Film Festival. We had an amazing team, and then guess what happened? That darn COVID. That COVID hit, and COVID wanted to join our production, and the documentary was put on hold. But the conversation never was. I'm grateful he's here tonight, and maybe one day we can finish that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. You know, when we met, you were at a crossroad in your life. You were going through a divorce and you were settling into a new home. You just bought it and trying to make sense of where your life was headed. And my team and I, we came to interview you because, well, we thought we were making a documentary about an extraordinary event. It didn't take long to realize that the documentary wasn't just about fire. And we were making a documentary about what happens afterward, and about memory, about family, about you, about forgiveness. and about whether or not understanding is possible after you go through an unimaginable event. So, in the spirit of that, before we talk about your journey, I would just like everyone to hear a couple pieces of your writing. I mean, the first was written when you were in like the 11th grade, and the second was written several years later when you were in junior college. And I think they tell us a lot about where your journey began and where it eventually led. So I just want to ask your permission to read that. But if I could do that, I think that would be good.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is the part from 11th grade. It was an autobiography written by you in the 11th grade. This is what you wrote. I don't know how the story goes because the communication with my birth parents and everyone else is hush hush about the incident, and I still want to know the real story. Why did she do this? Why didn't she hurt him? Why would she take her innocent children through this? Why hurt us? Did it just come to that? Why not all of us? Was it favoritism? Did you not want to be there when we got ill? Was this planned? Did it just happen? I mean, many nights I wish I would have died so I wouldn't have to look at my own face and my sister's face all burned up. I used to pray that when I woke up, God would heal my face. And when I awoke, the horror of your evilness remained. I would cry and blame God. He said, if you ask, you will receive. So that's the 11th grade excerpt. And then this is the excerpt from a portfolio of yours in junior college called Forgive Me. And it says, as I sit here writing now, I realize that as a mother and as a human being, I'll make mistakes. I didn't know that love wasn't green and that being rich wasn't measured by how big the house is or how much is the savings account. I didn't know the importance of self-love and that truly knowing yourself is so fulfilling. But what I did know was that my child needed to hear that she was beautiful and that she was loved. And what I do know is that forgiveness opened my heart, not only to help those who hurt me, but to help me move on with my life. I had to forgive in order to be a mother and a positive member of society. There were many obstacles, many trials, and many things that held me back. But I knew I could go back to school, retake an exam, correct a mistake, or change a situation. But if I didn't forgive, I would miss out on life.
Yeah.
Okay, Jameka Necole, in your own podcast words, are you ready to get undressed and talk about it?
Yeah, I'm about to get naked. I'm about to get all the way naked. Okay. So I'll be sharing a presentation that I presented to the CASA program in Tulsa, Oklahoma during the Child Abuse Awareness Month in April 2019. It's about 13 minutes long. If I slow down and speak a little slowly, as I was instructed to do, it may take a little bit longer, but if you bear with me, I promise that I think you will get something from it. So I'm going to try to slow it down because I do speak really fast. But this is a presentation, so I'm going to read it directly from this paper that I have here because a few reasons why I'm going to read it directly from this is because I know my story, and there's some things because I know it. I may not say everything because I know it. I may leave some things out. So I am going to use the paper because I have written everything and I have it, and you understand things a little bit better, I think. I also it also helps me not get too caught up in it in the story. It's just like I'm just reading something or whatever. So it's for a few reasons. So bear with me. But again, I'm sharing a presentation that I presented to the CASA program in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the month of April in 2019. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. And the color is normally blue, so I should have worn blue tonight, but it's not April either. So here we go, right? So again, grab a snack, grab a glass of wine. It's story time, okay? So So you might hear me talk about CASA Youth. CASA is an organization. It stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. It's a nonprofit organization that I currently sit on, that I'm currently a member, a board member. And we advocate for abused and neglected children. So you may hear the word CASA. It stands short for Court Appointed Special Advocates. Okay. So here we go. You guys okay out there? Thank you for joining me again. Thanks, Nicole, Glanisha, Fode, Roger, Aaron, Lori, Christian. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much. A lot of you are here. I'm very, very thankful. We're gonna get back to crazy next week. I promise you. Next week is gonna get a bit crazy, but today is gonna be this, okay? As I'm trying to talk myself into this. Okay. And I'm slowing it down tonight. So thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening. I love speaking in the month of April about this important issue that continues to happen across the world. It's just a blessing to be here tonight with you. This feeling is hard to describe in words. To come back to Tulsa, where I was born, and the place at one point I felt my life should have ended, where the abuse took place, and to be speaking this month at the Tulsa Court Appointed Special Advocate is an honor. Children are abused and neglected as we speak. Children are being abused and neglected as we speak. You are aware that a report is made every 10 seconds. That's about 3.6 million referrals to child protection agencies every year. I am an ambassador for the Sonoma County Court Appointed Special Advocates CASA program, and now as a member of the board of directors. I started publicly sharing my story with this organization, and now I get to share it with you. I have recently shared my stories at several colleges, churches, and organizations in my community. Before I share my journey, I wanted to show you my baby memory book. I never had a memory book, so I started working on this book about 20 years ago. This baby book contains documents that I obtained and requested from different agencies, such as the police department, the fire department, the adoption agency, and many other different agencies and organizations. This book also includes news articles of my national public size story. So I'm just going to show it to you real fast, and then I'll get right back to the story. You guys remember these? My children had one. Remember these little books? So I didn't have one, so I made myself one of these books. Oops. Right here is a picture of me. You can't really see it probably here, but it's a picture of me. I've never not seen my face without a burn on it. And this is a picture of me without a burn. So I have like two pictures, this one and then another picture at in my house. So I've never had that ever, ever. And then I have, you will see all these news articles. Our paper hit the front newspaper. It was a huge story back in Oklahoma and back that way. So I have all these articles here, and I also have all the agencies that I wrote letters to asking for people to send me information about my story because no one wanted to tell me about my story. I think something happened to Cello. Cello, if you're out there, just go ahead and click that link again, and then I can bring you back on stage. It's the internet, you know, we always have issues on the internet. So right now I'm going to share. So that's the baby book. I have earned 2 certificates in administration of justice. I have completed internships at Valley of the Moon Children's Home, the County of Marin Juvenile Probation Department, and the Court Appointed Special Advocates. And as a non-affiliated independent student, I completed probation officer core training. I share this resume to explain what this foster child felt she needed to do to be seen, accepted, and approved. See, I earned the certificates. I'm going to just let him back up. I'm sorry, guys. We can't leave anybody hanging. So let me try to remember how to do this. Oops. Sorry, I may just start that part over.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know if
what
I can
happened.
hear you. I can't hear you. You might have to come back in and come back. You might have to go back out and come back in.
Okay.
Sorry, you guys, bear with us. Maybe go back out and come back in. So what I'm going to do is just share this part here, and then I'll bring him back up on stage. Okay. So I shared that I completed the certificates, and I was just I'll start that over. So I have earned 2 certificates in administration of justice. I have completed internships at Valley of the Moon Children's Home, the County of Marin Juvenile Probation Department, and the court appointed special advocates. And as a non-affiliated independent student, I completed probation officer core training. I share this resume to explain that what this foster child felt she needed to do to be seen, accepted, and approved. See, I earned the certificates because I wanted to make something of my life, but I didn't feel I could become a college graduate. The internships were completed because I needed the agencies to see my work ethics before I allowed myself to be hired. The probation officer core training, well, it was accomplished well before I even applied to any agencies. And after years of counseling, healing, and forgiveness, because the little girl inside still questioned who and why would anyone want to take a chance with me when my own mother didn't want me? It seems that I've always needed to show the world that I was a good person and that I was deserving.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm back.
I am
Um,
blessed to share my journey in the hopes that my story will not only help heal victims, but their perpetrators, with the overall goal of more survivors, more empathy, more compassion, more love, and more kindness in the world. I'm here to share a glimpse of my childhood experience with the goal to explain the life of a foster child's journey of abuse, neglect, and domestic violence from being a victim to becoming a survivor. I am a victim of abuse and neglect by my birth mother. My birth mother doused our family vehicle with rubbing alcohol while my older and younger sisters and I sat in the back seat. She then lit and threw a match while watching the vehicle engulf in flames as she held my 3-month-old brother in her arms. My older sister fought the flames and the smoke as she tried to open the door. However, she fell unconscious. As the fire grew, my birth mother began to scream for help after she realized the severity of the fire. Wendell Williams, our neighbor who lived across the street, heard her screams and then ran to help. He tried to break the hot window with his bare hand, but he was unable to. So he ran to his garage, got a hammer, broke the window, and pulled myself and my little sister Keisha from the burning vehicle. Our birth mother continued to scream while telling Mr. Williams that her eldest daughter, who was 4 years old, was still in the vehicle. So he risked his life for the third time, and he rescued her just before the emergency personnel arrived on scene. My birth mother initially involved any involvement, but a few weeks later, she confessed that she set the fire to get even at our birth father. Our birth father was in and out of prisons and drug treatment programs. He did not want the responsibility of raising his own children, so he allowed the state of Oklahoma to place us in foster care. My little brother was placed with a foster family who was interested in adopting him. On the other hand, after my sister and I recovered enough to be discharged from the hospital, we went directly into foster care, where we would eventually experience several different homes. Unfortunately, my little sister Keisha never recovered from the complications of the fire, and she died in the hospital a year later. Additionally, we suffered abuse while in the custody of the Department of Human Services. In one foster home, we were placed in a dark room filled with cats. After after they knew my sister was terrified of cats. And in another foster home, our foster mother served her children different meals for dinner while my sister and I ate the same dinner while my sister and I sat at that same table and ate beans every night. A few years later, our great aunt and her husband adopted all three of us, and we moved to California. I was not aware this was my last home or my last mom. I am very appreciative and thankful to my late parents for opening their home to us, whom too required intensive medical treatment and many other services. Although they provided the best care, financial support, and love as they knew best, they verbally and emotionally abused us. Our mother often reminded us when we misbehaved, as normal children do, that she did not have to adopt us, and how there were so many other children who would love to be in our place, and that the only reason why her friends and other relatives were doing anything for us was because of her. My father was a hard worker, and he provided for us financially, but nothing more. In my eyes, it was very clear he didn't sign up for this project. I later got involved in a physical, abusive, unhealthy relationship with an older man and had a baby at age 16. I was seeking love in all the wrong places. I just wanted to love, and I just wanted to be loved by someone. I don't trust you. I don't trust God. I don't trust the world. I don't trust life. And more importantly, I don't trust myself. Why do you care or want to involve yourself with me? My own mother and father didn't want me. Why do you want me to get good grades and go to school? I'm not going to be anything in life. Why do you care if I do drugs? I'm worthless. Why would I respect my body? I don't love myself. Why would I hold my head high? I'm not special to anyone. Why would I smile? I'm angry. Why would I have self-esteem, self-worth, or self-confidence? Unfortunately, children who have been abused and neglected, AKA your CASA youth, may never introduce themselves like this to you. You may never know these important aspects of their lives to understand their walk and their talk. Why they blow their placements, why they don't trust you, why they are ready to pack up and flee if they sense the slightest negativity or danger, or why they stay in unhealthy situations and relationships, or why they will always test you and the world. You may never know how the trauma in their lives have affected them, on how and how they are reminded daily of their reality by things that are just normal or not a big deal to you. How they feel and felt, and why their stressors and triggers are so much higher than the average person. These children just want to be validated, reassured, and witnessed by someone who cares. Most of these children have never had anyone say to them, I'm sorry your life started this way. I'm sorry your parents hurt you or failed to protect you, or simply you did not deserve to be abandoned, abused, or neglected. My goal in life after I became a teenage mother was just to graduate from high school. So my family couldn't say I told you so. And so I could show society that I could at least graduate from high school. I then decided I would rely on my best friend who was smart to help me and my daughter and I get through the rest of our lives. Well, I'm proud to say I have earned my bachelor's degree in sociology. I have worked for the Sonoma County Court Appointed Special Advocates as a case manager, and I have supported and trained advocates to work with abused and neglected children. I've also worked at Valley of the Moon Children's Home, the emergency shelter for youth that have been abandoned, abused, and neglected, as a residential care counselor. And then I became who I am today in my profession in law enforcement. So the question I often get asked is how you went from the burning vehicle to the hospital stay, to foster care, being adopted, being in a long-term abusive relationship, and everything in between that to standing here today, really sitting here today. I normally stand up for this. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how. At the age of 16, after giving birth, I was laying in the hospital bed, talking on the phone, drinking orange juice, and holding my beautiful newborn. I accidentally spilled orange juice on the top of her head. I began to cry and thought I was going to be the worst mother in the world because who spills orange juice on their newborn? A few minutes later, it clicked. If I can make a big mistake like spilling orange juice on my daughter's head, then my birth mother could too. I know comparing a fire and orange juice is silly, but I was 16 years old and it worked. That was the beginning of my healing process. I eventually forgave my birth mother, and since then I have been able to find purpose in my life. I learned that forgiveness takes one person and you don't need their consent. You don't need their buy in, their participation, their approval, or even their help. I also learned that my situation did not happen to me, but it happened for me. I also stopped asking, why me? It was no longer an interest of mine and started asking, why not? Because if it wasn't me, then who? I discovered it only took one person to believe in me to help me believe in me. This is how my life started, my story. However, my story does not define me. It's just my story. Good evening. Let me reintroduce myself to you. I am Jameka Necole. I am a survivor. These burns on my face are my survival marks, and I wear them proudly. I don't tolerate, accept, or accommodate inappropriate behaviors from anyone. I am confident. I know my self worth. My self esteem is high. I love, 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 love beans, except for lima beans. I don't like lima beans. I hold my head high so the crown doesn't slip. And most importantly, I've learned to love God. I learned to love and trust God, myself, others, in life. Lastly, each time I'm blessed to share my journey, my story, I get to honor my little sister, Keisha, by saying her name. I don't know how she looked, but I know her name. And today, I'm no lie, it's her birthday, which I never knew her birthday forever. I just learned her birthday in 2019 when I spoke in Tulsa. But so today is her birthday. So it's crazy how this is happening. Not planned. I just saw it on my calendar. I get to honor my older sister, my hero, although to this day, she's still the 4-year-old girl who holds herself responsible for not opening that door. I get to honor and say thank you to the family of my angel, the late Mr. Williams, for risking his life not once, not twice, but 3 times to save 3 little girls. I get to honor God and apologize for being angry with him after I prayed for a miracle to remove the burns from my face and the pain from my heart. I now know this had to happen to me for me to know my purpose in life. Please report any suspected abuse or neglected to your local child protective service. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey, my story with you. But more importantly, for working with such awesome, for an awesome and amazing organization and for becoming a CASM. That's my story. There it is. So let me get back to this. So I know, give me 1 second, guys, just 1 second. Sorry. Oop. So I share this story with you, not for any other reason, but to help, like I said, bring healing, hopefully for someone else. But this is something that I talk about on this podcast. If you don't deal with your childhood traumas or tragedies or whatever you want to label it, you will see it in your adult life. And so we're going to move into the next part of this, I believe. Cello, make sure that I'm on track, my brain. We're going to move into the
You know
next
what?
part of this.
You're doing good. You just got to take a beat. Take a beat. You do. That's a lot, but
Okay.
you just breathe. You're doing great, you know?
Okay, I appreciate you. Okay.
I think you want to maybe talk a little bit about your trip to Oklahoma. I think people need to see that as an adult you went back there just a little bit more, maybe to clarify that you did go visit your mother in prison. I think that's an important part of your story, honestly.
Okay. So remember, I forgave my birth mother and I believed it allowed me to survive. Remember, I shared that. I said I forgave my mother. And remember my age. Remember the age where I was during this time. You know, you grow a little bit. So, you know, that was good for that age, right? Just to survive was good for that age, right? So I forgave my mother. It allowed me to survive. Well, in 2019, I went back to Oklahoma because I wanted to stop surviving and I wanted to start living. So surviving worked for me up until that point. But then I was like, nah, I want to start living. I wanted to survive. So I went back to Oklahoma in 2019 in April, and I wanted to go back and tie this bow around my childhood so I could finally move forward. So that's what I did. I thought the trip was going to be for me. It turned out to be much bigger than me. And I'm going to try my best to try to summarize it and not drag it on too much, but it was amazing. I did video after every day. I was there for probably like 5 or 6 days. Every day I went and I tried to make sure I took care of myself. So I would go and just talk about the day, what happened, good or bad, and just put it on video. What is it called? Blogging,
Vlog, I think, yeah, vlog.
blogging. Okay, I did that. So one thing that was really important, you remember I shared that I to this day, if someone showed my sister a picture, I would never know who she was. Um, I was 3 and she was 1 or so, at 1.5 or so. So I don't even remember her. So it was really, really important for me to go to her to her grave site. Hopefully that's go to the cemetery to visit her. And so I did. However, the cemetery is about 2 hours away from from Tulsa. It was like in the country. And what I was told is, as soon as I told people, my family, that I was going to go see my sister and Keisha in at her gravesite, they told me don't go. They told me they said first is they do not like. I'm just going to tell you how my family spoke. They said they don't like Black people down there. Don't go there. You may get hurt. Something may happen to you. Don't go there. They said that it was going to be a big storm and that day, and they also shared with me that the gravesite is never kept, and if I went, my car could get stuck in there. And so they really advised me not to go. I just couldn't listen to them. I had to go there. I had to go there. So I went. I took the 2 hour trip and I wanted to go, but I had a couple of family members say, let me just go with you. And I said, no, I just have to do this by myself. I just have to do this by myself. So I did. So I took that 2 hour, I think I think it was 2 hours. If it wasn't 2 hours, it felt like it, but it was at least an hour and a half. And then I got lost. I went there and I got lost. And the first person I saw was a white man. And I said, oh no. They said, don't, no, 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 no. When I said this man was the nicest man, he said, you know what? How about you follow me and I'll take you there? And I said, okay. And he did. And he didn't mess with me and he didn't do anything. And so he took me there. When I got there, first of all, the weather was beautiful. He got me there and someone had I don't know what happened, if God sent a message down, I don't know what took place, but the graveyard was perfect. Somebody mowed it, the grass was mowed, it was watered, it was nice and green, it was lovely, right? And I just sat out there and I just talked to her and and stuff. One other thing that I with my sister is that um help me. It's called survival remorse. Is that what it's called? I
Survivor guilt.
dealt. What
Survivor
is,
guilt. Survivor guilt.
okay, I dealt with that for a long time too, because like why her and not me, and that's just so I dealt with that for a while too. I won't go into all that, but so it was great for me to be able just to sit there with her and just chat with her and stuff. And I don't know, I don't know, but I did. And then the next thing I did was I went back to the hospital. I had to stay. My sister and I stayed in the hospital for quite some time. We had 3rd-degree burns, whatever the worst burns were. We had those. Um, So I went back there, and this year in 2019, it was their 50th anniversary. So I was like, oh my God, this is just amazing, right? This is amazing. So it was this 50th year anniversary. And what was really, really cool was it was two nurses still there who took care of us. I kid you not. Two nurses, and I went there and I shared, and they go, I know you. They said they remember the story like it happened yesterday. That's how serious this was, and how, there's certain people and certain things and that you just never forget. And they told me your story or your situation, we just never forgot. We never forgot about it. And so as soon as I said that, they knew exactly who I was. And I was just like, and so I got to thank them for taking care of me. I got to ask them questions like, who came to see me? Just all those little questions. And then I know I'm talking really fast, huh? And you hate
Okay,
when I
it's
do
okay.
that.
No, you're doing good. You're good.
Okay, sorry. And then I also, there's sometimes where I sometimes can smell the hospital. I don't want you guys to think I'm weird or anything. I can smell, and it doesn't happen all the time. I could probably count on one hand how many times it happened. And now I'm waiting for it to happen again so I can kind of figure out like why this happens and what's going on in my body for me to, and back then I didn't understand it and I wasn't so aware of my body and things like that. Now I am. So, so sometimes I can smell the smell of the hospital, and I can hear that like the opening of the packages that they had to use and stuff is really weird. But I'm not weird, you guys. That's just like it just happens. It just happened a few times or whatever. And I am kind of weird, so it is what it is. But so that was amazing that I was able to see them, and I went back and spoke with them, and I took pictures with them. It was just amazing. It really was. So I got to do that, and then so the other amazing thing that I got to do in 2019 was go see Mr. Williams' family. At the time, his mother was still alive. She's no longer here with us. And his sister and I did so much research, you guys. In that baby book is so much research. It's more than the news articles. And there's like Shelly, you know how many news articles I have in here. There's so many news articles in here. But also I did a lot of research because no one wanted to tell me about my story. I asked family members, can you please tell me my story? It's my story. And this is when I'm of age. I'm not a little kid asking, please tell me my story. No one wanted to touch this story. No one wanted to talk about this story. And I'm begging and asking. So what I had to do is I had to call all these different agencies, gather all this information, and then I had to do the investigation or research to figure out what day it happened, where was the house, all these things, right? I had to do all these things. So one of the things that I did was, what was I talking about?
You were talking about the Williams family.
Oh yeah, sorry, thank you. So I had to go, so I researched Mr. Williams, and I got his name through a news article. That's how I knew who he was. I didn't know who he was. So I got his name out of a news article, and I did all my research. I searched for, I don't know how long for this man. I needed to thank him. I really did not believe that anyone in my family thanked this guy for risking his life, not one time, but not two times, but three times to save three little girls. So I said, no, I have to say thank you to him. And so by the time I actually found him, and I found him through his obituary, and I found that he had a daughter. Her name was Jameka. And I guess the Mikas was in at that time. I don't know what was happening, but her name is Jameka, and we are sisters. And I reached out to her and I shared, and she was like, oh my gosh, yes, I know you guys. We used to play outside together. Like she knew. I think she's older, a little older, but she remembered us. And so so we stayed in contact ever since I met. We stayed in contact. I can't remember what year I found that information out, but we stayed in contact. But then in 2019, I was able to meet her in person. And not only was I able to meet Jameka, my sister, I got to meet their mother. I mean, sorry, it would be her grandmother, Mr. Williams' mother. And I got to thank her and tell her how amazing her son was to help us out and things like that. And he was a firefighter at one time, and he also was a police officer. So he just probably did what he's used to doing. That's what you do. You go in and you do it. And so, but he didn't have to. He could have stayed asleep, and he didn't. So I got to do that. Also, Jameka had two foster kids at the time, and one was I think she was 9 years old, and she had been to 12 foster homes. 12. Now, I'm talking about these little foster homes that I was in. I was not nearly at 12 foster homes, and the impact that had with me. Going to foster home, you don't realize why you are going to these homes. Is it you? What did I do? Why they keep moving me? You have all these questions as a kid, like you don't know. Did I do something wrong? I'm going to be good. I'm not going to, you don't know why. You always think it's you. So I can only imagine being 9 years old in 12 foster homes. It's just crazy. And so I was able to tell her my story. I was able to let her know what I do for a living, to let her know that you don't have to be in the NBA or the NFL, because that's when you always hear about people who have, they were in foster care and they were adopted by this wonderful family. And they, no, there's people to this day that are doctors, lawyers, custodians, whatever, all different kind of work professions that have the same story that I'm telling tonight, but they don't share their story. And I get it. Who wants to relive this story? Even me, after all these years, I'm still kind of choking up a little bit about this story. And I've told this story so many times. So I understand, but I also know each time that I get to tell this story, I get to heal more and more. And I just always just encourage people, if you can or when you can, it's better just to talk about it and just tell it, because it will help. Not if it won't help you, it will help someone else. So I got to meet the little girl, and she was able to touch my hair, my little dress I had. Oh, I was appropriate, my little dress I had on and stuff. And it just made it just surreal for her. And I just hope and pray that she know that she can become anything she wants to be, and that her life, how it started, does not, is not going to affect the way that her life can end. So I was happy to be a part of her seeing someone that been through something not as bad as hers, but similar to hers. So I got to do that. I got to actually go in the newspaper, all those articles. I contacted the Tulsa World newspaper, and I said, "Hey, I'm coming down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I would love to give you guys another article. You have all these articles about what happened to us when I was a kid, and I would love to come back to Oklahoma." I said, "I'm coming back to Oklahoma to wrap up a few things there, and I would love for you to maybe share this story, share who I am and where we're at now." And they hopped on it. They hopped on it. And so they came and interviewed me at the hotel. And another thing was, he suggested, "Won't we go to the house where it happened?" And that was one of my dreams, to go to the house, because I had this vision. I didn't know exactly where and where. Well, I knew it happened at the house, but I had this vision of the house have a big balcony and all this. And so I was able to go to that actually house, that house, and go to the house. And so we filmed in front of that. And the news article, it has me sitting in front of the house where it all happened. So so it was in the driveway of our house. So I went there. So that was something that I didn't even plan. I didn't even think about. And the editor said, let's go there. And that's what we did. You'll later learn, and maybe I'll just do it now so I don't forget, if I can find it. Remember, I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma in April of 2019. This article hit the news, the front page article, the front page of this newspaper, Tulsa World, on Easter Sunday. My story on Easter Sunday, me? That's crazy. So we were able to, a lot of people wonder where the kids, we were called the kids. So where the kids were. So a lot of people were happy to see this article. And for whatever reason, they decided to put it on the front page on Easter Sunday. I took it. And then I think the last thing that I did there, I went and I interviewed my birth parents. Again, it was no longer about why they did what they did. I had asked that question so many times. My birth mother said, "I blacked out. I don't remember." My birth father was in and out of prisons. He didn't know why. He wasn't involved in it, but he has responsibility in it because the way he possibly treated her, and I could imagine what he was going through. By the way, my birth mother she had 4 kids by the age of 19. So I'm not saying that I would have did anything like that to my children, but I can only imagine having 4 kids at the age of 19, all under the age of 4, I believe. So not an excuse by any means, but I interviewed my birth parents. I interviewed my dad, and prior to that, I was an investigation officer. I'll put it out there. I was an investigation officer. So there are certain things we have to ask to write a report. And so what I did was I treated, not like I treated them like, I treat, these reports kind of give you like a small autobiography of who you are. And so they ask about your criminal history. They ask about your mental health. It asks about your childhood. It asks about everything. And so it gives a big picture of who you are and gives, it's used for a different purpose for my job, but I used it for this purpose for interview with my parents. And so because I wanted to know who they were, I felt like if I knew who they were, then I can maybe understand maybe why they did or how they showed up or how they didn't show up in my life. So I didn't care anymore I didn't care why you did it, how you did it. I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to know who they were. And so I interviewed my birth mother. I interviewed my birth father. I got a glimpse. I got to do that. So that was great to hear. What I learned from the interview with my mother, my birth mother, all the years I wanted to know why she did what she did, she would never tell me. And this day I go there just to find out who she is. And she tells me, I poured alcohol on you guys and I lit the match. I only lit one match. I said, well, yep, that match was the one that did it. That one that you lit, that did it. That's the one that did it. But she only lit one. And so I'm trying to keep my composure, like, oh my gosh, she's actually telling me, and I want her to keep talking. So I can't let her know that because maybe she'll stop talking, and I didn't come for this, but I'm getting this. So let me go with it. So I'm just kind of like, oh my God, inside, but I'm just like, okay. And then she said, I said, oh, alcohol. She said, yeah, she said the green kind. I never even knew alcohol was green, but I guess back here in the South, they have green alcohol and that's the good alcohol. So not only did she use one match, she used the good alcohol. So yeah, she used the good alcohol. So that was great. And did I leave anything out, Chillo? I think those are all the things I did as far as of what I did there. But is that all that I did?
Yeah, I think that was I think that was a pivotal moment for you when you talked to her.
Okay. Yeah. And my birth father, he just was, I was able to ask him things. So what I also did, because I've always been about balance in life, and I am still about balance, I made sure that I took care of myself while I was down there. I knew this trip was going to be a hard one for me, or it could be. I didn't really know for sure, but I kind of thought maybe this could be. So I did go to my first Black rodeo here. And these would be things like I would do one hard day and then maybe do something fun. And then I was able to go to the OKC basketball playoff game. I think they were I think it was game 3. And so I went there, I went to a game, and then I went to church with my pastor who's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I went with his mother and his sister to church. So I had a balance of all this with a little bit of self-care too while I was there. So yeah. So I went there because it was time for me to stop surviving and start living. And so that's where I'm at right now. So now I'm living and thriving right now. So yeah, that was the 2019 trip. So I share this story, not just for you guys to hear this little story of mine, but I want to share how my childhood affected how I showed up in relationships. This is where bedroom noise come in. I've always said that I don't address if you don't address your childhood trauma, you will see them in your adult relationships. And so I'm going to share with you. I saw it in my marriage. I saw it with my child, and I saw it in friendships. So I think should I move on to how I saw it in my marriage, Chilla?
Well, I think, we got 3 topics to marriage and children, or marriage, friendship, and children. So I think marriage is a good place to start.
Okay.
I think it's one of your most significant. I mean, like it's where it shows up sometimes the most. I don't know. They're all different, but I think marriage is a good topic.
Okay. So how fear shaped my marriage and what I learned about communication. Okay, so I just shared my story with all of you. Some people would already know that possibly housing could be an issue for me. Maybe some may not. But for me, because it's my story, I know housing is a big deal. I went from foster care to foster care to foster care, getting to this home that I thought, well, this is my last, didn't know this was my last home because I'm so used to moving. So I've always feared housing. That was always important to me to make sure that I have a house to go to, right? And so I lived with that for a long time. It made me stay in relationships much longer. Well, I haven't been in so many, but with my daughter's father, I was with him for a very long time because of housing, that abusive relationship that I talked about. I would have been out of that relationship, but I was scared about housing. So I stayed in it because I was scared about housing. So housing has been a very big issue for me. And so when I get in my marriage, I tell him this story. I tell the story, what happened in my life. And we agreed when we got engaged to, I'm just going to put it out there. This is no ding to anybody. I'm just telling my story. We agreed he had a home already, although it wasn't paid for. Maybe I'm telling too much. I don't know. But
No,
he
you
had a
know it.
home that was, he had a home. It wasn't paid for fully, but it was his home. He had it. And he wanted me to move in. I had a little apartment. I was good over there in my little apartment. He wanted me to come up over there. So I did. And I said, my dad always told me, you take care of your house. Make sure you take care of your house. So I went to him, I said, hey, how about we get, and this is no lie, no cap, no nothing. I said, hey, how about we get this house paid for? So like, we get this house paid, we can get another one, whatever, but let's get this house paid for. What do we need to do to get this house paid for? Okay, give me a little more, give me a little more. So I did, no problem. I don't care about this 50-50 that some people do. It's just me. I believe in helping and building and all that, but okay. So I was okay with that. I said, okay, whatever we got to do to get this house paid for, let's do it. And then I also put a large amount of money into the house because it was a bachelor house. It wasn't a home. It was a house. So I made sure we did the upgrades, the furniture. I put a lot in there. Trust and believe, a lot in there, a lot, because I don't believe in taking from people. So I was like, if he's gonna gift his house, then I'm going to also put into it as well. So not only paying more for mortgage, but also, getting the house up to par or what have you. So we agreed. So we went into the marriage with agreement, this is going to be your house. Again, I feared housing. Okay, oh my God, I'm set. I'm okay. Something happened to him, God forbid something happened to him, I'm going to be okay. I have a house. So housing was important to me. About 6 months after we got divorced, I found that he went behind my back and got a living trust that said that 6 months, God forbid something happened to him, 6 months, I would have to leave his house. And he was going to give it to his children, which was fine. If that was what we agreed upon, I don't have a problem. I'm not here to take from nothing. I've been a hard worker, So that was nothing. I'm not here to take from anyone. But we didn't talk about it. And so I was just, that childhood came so fast in my life. I was like, all I saw was, here I go, where I'm going to go. I could be 50, 80, 90. I'm going to have to pack my bags. I'm going to go. It just took me. And I was just like, I was so scared. I was so scared. And so I was fussing with him for years. No one knew behind the scene. I held it all in. And I was fussing at him. Well, you said this, you agreed to this. What are you doing? And so I'm begging someone to put my name, like change that. You have to put that back. That's not okay. You have to change that. Mind you, he did put my name on the deed, but when I saw that document, it scared me. So I didn't know. I never bought a house before. I didn't know any of that. And he was older than I was too. I'm always messing with these older men. Jesus. So he was older than me. And so I didn't know about how to buy a house and which one would outdo the other document. I didn't know, but I know I saw that document and it scared me to death. And so I fussed at him and fussed at him. And I guess after like 3 or 4 years, maybe even 4 or 5 years, I said, you know what, Jameka Necole, what you fighting? What you arguing with a man for? If you don't go get your own. And so, I'm a great saver. I know how to, you give me my mom would tell you if Jamaica probably has her first dollar ever, I know how to save money. I'm real conservative with my money. Even though I do what I want to do, I'm very conservative with my money. But so I said, Jameka Nicole, what you doing? You fighting over a house? Go get your own. And so I started to get my own. I didn't want to end the marriage. I didn't want to do anything. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to do. I'm not going to, I'm not going to just be stuck wondering where I'm going to go when I'm 50, 80, 90 years old, right? I'm not going to do that. So I went and I purchased me. What I did was I said to God, and this is no cap, you guys. I said this, and I would say, if you have any fears, if you do this, it will help. I told God, I said, I no longer want to have fear. I give my fear to you of housing. And I swear, I promise on everything, 6 weeks, I own my house in 6 weeks. Never bought a house before. Never put the cash down on payment on the house. Never. The second house I looked at, that same night I called her. I said, put the offer in, and I got it. And I'm gonna tell you another thing about that. Someone outbid me $10,000 more. My realtor and broker told me to write a letter to the owner. And I told him that I've always wanted, I gave him a little story of mine and why it was important for me to, to be a homeowner and things like that. And he took my offer $10,000 less than he would have got. He selected me to get the house. 6 weeks from the time I said, make the deal to me getting the key. So if you give your fear up, whatever fear you have, if you give it up, things will work out for you. So that's the truth of the story. That's what happened with that. But my fear was the housing. And so I say all of that, and I'm not a person to point the finger. I'm just telling the story what happened. My thought is that I believed he understood my fear of housing and that he understood and the importance of me not that making sure that I had a house, even though you're my husband. I mean, jump offs. Let me just stay on this point here. Let me just stay on this point here. Jump offs get houses and condos and everything. So why would you not take care of your wife? That I don't understand. But again, I have to take the responsibility for me and say, hey, I didn't say I have a fear of housing. I'm scared. I went to foster care to foster care to foster care. I didn't say that. And so maybe he had no idea that maybe he thought, oh, she's a gold digger. She's trying to get my money. She's trying to get my house. No, it's not that. I know how to work. I said, let's pay more for the mortgage. I said, what can we do to get this mortgage down? I said that. Let's get so we can get a second house or whatever, But so anyway, I don't know what happened, but I have to take my responsibility with the communication. But that was one way that I saw that my childhood creeped into my marriage with that fear of housing. And so if you have a fear, if you have something going on and you're in a relationship, we can't assume our significant others know what's going on. Sometimes you have to draw a picture, you got to write it out, you have to do whatever you have to do for your significant other to understand really what's going on with you, what the issue is. So it may not be, so it won't be misunderstood. So yeah.
So Jameka, I just got to say, like, I don't know how you do it, because that's what you tapped on is what a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have been in that situation where, like, they had to figure out like how to move forward after investing and in something they thought was going to happen and then it didn't. And I just admire honestly that I don't think like I'm personally capable of digging that deep to feel like what could I could have communicated more. I'm not the forgiving person you are, but when I'm around you, I get inspired to forgive. Okay. But like it's only when I'm around you. Like and then like I go back to like screw that. Like I'm holding a grudge, whatever. But like it is good that you told how it connected to everybody has a primal fear of not having a home. It's primal. And then when you've been to 8 or 12 different homes or even some people 200, it's sort of like you get numb, but you're always running in that direction or so I think it's important that you touched on that. And and I think it's really, I just think it's great that you reconciled it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You reconciled it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And then I don't know what if we tackled the topic of children or friends. Maybe children's better as we start with children and how it affects our relationship with children, and we end with friendship. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Yeah, I think so. So I'll share that. I believe that my childhood affected my dealing with my daughter. So my oldest daughter. So remember, I had a child, my daughter, when I was 16 years old. She's my world. Okay. I dropped everything. I was not that parent that she was at her grandmother's house and I was kicking in and hanging out. I stopped life and took care of that girl. Everything. I'm in school writing her name. Like I lived and breathed like everything about her. I was at every PTA. I overly did everything. And I'm not saying that to brag about anything. It was actually, I was over killing myself because I had to prove to people that I was this teenage mom. Ugh.
that's okay. Take a breath. It's okay.
And I wasn't going to I didn't want anybody to say, I told you so. So I overly did everything. I'm killing myself to be at every field trip, everything. I'm killing myself to do it. Just give me one second.
That's okay.
Sorry. So I'm killing myself to be at everything, do everything right. And I didn't care to kick it. I didn't care to do anything. I just wanted my daughter. I didn't trust anybody with my child. Remind you, I just came from a birth mother who's done what she's done to me. I don't want my child around anybody. I'm okay to watch her myself. I'm good, you know. I didn't want her to see any danger. I didn't want her to do anything. All not great and wonderful because it just made her so dependent on me for everything because she never saw life because life is going to happen regardless, right? And so no, I'm like, no, she's not going. If my lights turned out, we're going to be like, oh, we were just having candlelight dinner tonight. You know, I just always made everything just so fluffy and wonderful. So she wouldn't know anything that was wrong, right? That's not good and healthy, you know. Now that second one, she saw everything and you know, but my first daughter, my oldest daughter, no, I just wanted to protect her so much. And that was because of my childhood. I overly protected her because of my childhood. So it creeped up in that sense as well, is that I overly protected her. And that's not good to do as a parent, you know. Don't do that. If you're doing that, don't do that. You know, it's not good. So and then I'll tell this one story that when her dad and I was with her dad from the age of 14 to like 30 something. I think 31. Oh, I'm telling my age up in here. But very for a long time, for years, I was with her father. And then we separated and my daughter decided she didn't want, I had to go live in this little apartment. She decided she didn't want to come with me to the apartment. She wanted to stay with her dad. And when I mean I was crushed, I felt that was betrayal. I feel like, what do you mean? All this stuff I stopped life for, all this stuff I did. Not that she was asked to be born, here or anything, but my childhood creeped again. Like, I dare you leave me. What do you mean you're leaving me? Are you serious? So I was so hurt that y'all left me. And she only left because she didn't want to go into these apartments that we were living in. And so her dad, so she went with her dad that was living in a better area than I was going to be living in. And then 6 months later, something happened with that house. And so she calls me saying, hey, I want to come back. And I had to do the hardest thing ever in life. And I had to tell her, no, you don't get to come. And that's also something with my childhood that no, I'm not going to let you enter my life and come out and in and out and in and out and in because that I can't do. I cannot do that. When I love you and you're my friend, you are my friend. If I am down for you, I am down for you. When I talk about being loyal to someone, I am loyal to all the way, And so I, I'm like, she's my op now, I'm like, are you my op now, So that's another way how it creeped up. And I had to come to realization the reason why I maybe responded that way was because of my childhood. And I was protecting myself. No, you're not going to hurt me again. Like I talked about what children of that that went through things like this, been abandoned, abused, neglected, we will get out of your life before you get out of our lives. We're not going to allow you to keep coming back in our lives and things and keep hurting us. So we'll actually try to leave. So I didn't want my daughter to do that again to me. So I had to like put my guard up, like, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to come back, not get your way, then come back. No, because I can't handle that. And that had to do a lot with my childhood too. So.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
that's a good transition point to like talking about friends, because you're talking about where something ends. I think essentially, like you have to, people who've been through a lot of trauma, they don't want anything to end, at all.
Mm,
They'll reinvest, and like you said, you just do whatever it takes to keep something going, and then it ends, and you got to reconcile that. And especially if you've done everything to keep it from ending,
mhm.
and I think that's a good transition into relationships in general, because you know, as you know, there's like different layers of friendships out there and different relationships. So I'd be curious to know if you could talk more about that, like where you've had that ending point with people, and how it connected to what happened to you.
Yeah. So again, I'm a friend too. When I consider you my friend, so most of my friends I've been knowing for 30 plus years or so. I value friendship, and if I say you're my friend, you're my friend. And I'll have stayed, like I've stayed in relationships longer than I should have. I've stayed with friends longer than I needed to, because I just don't believe in disposing of people. I just don't. My parents disposed of me, so I'm very careful of who I dispose of. Like I'm not trying to, if we need to work it out. Let's figure it out. I don't want to dispose of you. So, but there's times where, things happen in life and there's ending part. And I had to learn that, Jamaica, things just end. you know and it's not the worst thing in the world, it just ends. And so but I've stayed in relationships, not maybe receiving the same energy that I put into relationships because of my childhood. No, I can't, and I always look, I can't dispose of them, and because I'm looking at my mom disposed of me, so I can't do that, so I'm holding on to all this bad energy that I don't need. These people are not giving, I'm putting more into it. And so I've seen that in relationship. I think you had any experience with a friendship that you
Yeah, no, I've
could
had.
tie into?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's. I think everybody can relate to, like, you're friends with somebody, and then all of a sudden, it's it's changing in some way, like, and I don't know, like, yeah, like I had a couple of friends in LA that I thought like we would be friends to the day we die, honestly.
Yeah.
And I felt like we would rule the world together, all three of us. And it was a wonderful 2 years. And I've been in a lot of long-term relationships 20,
Yeah.
20, 30 years, but I only knew these guys 2 years, but I thought we were on to being just unstoppable, and
Yeah.
then it just changed in a way that felt too painful. And I couldn't, your childhood brain says, well, maybe if I'd done this, or maybe if I'd done this. And it took a long time to get over it and recover from it. And I think the more it happens, maybe the better you get at moving through it, I guess, but
Hmm.
it's relatable. I mean, there's not a person on this planet that hasn't had some type of feeling of betrayal or wound of some kind, and they need to, they need to heal it. So it's definitely trauma based.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to share that with dealing with friendships, I'm just going to put this on the table because I said I was going to get completely naked tonight, and I always encourage, and just that's my mission is to for us to be vulnerable here and put it on the table. And I would say that I dealt with another friendship betrayal that you know creeped up as well with that also led to my childhood, affecting how I dealt with friendships. I've never had this happen. I've heard this happen before, but I had a friend of 20, at the time, 25 years or so. And this person, we were friends. I knew her family. She knew my family. She watched my youngest daughter. Her daughter was my my oldest daughter, her middle daughter, and my oldest daughter were like besties at one point. And to this day, I think they're still friends, the daughters, because I don't believe in getting my kids involved and say, because I don't like you, you don't like them, and all that mess. I let kids be kids, even though they're grown. So I believe they're still friends to this day. But my then friend of 20 plus, 25 plus years, I was going through my divorce, and I I did let the church know that I was going through my divorce, and she was, or that I was done with the relationship because I was tired of hiding it. But I told, but outside of that, I was kind of quiet about it. I didn't tell my other friends or anything about it. I was just trying my best to deal with it, and I was hoping that the marriage didn't end. So I wasn't really telling anybody. I was just sitting in it, and so but finally it was happening. We were going through the divorce and everything. And so she came to my house. She asked if she could take me to lunch. She took me to lunch. She asked me when was the last time I had sex with my husband, which I thought, this is weird. Like, so I was like, I was just over there like, not that anything went down, and if it did, we were married, but nothing did. But so I said I was over there. I wasn't going to tell her, but I said I was over there like last weekend, But I just kind of kept the conversation going, not really thinking anything until a year to later, why she asked me that question. And so I said, and she came and she gave me a housewarming gift because by this time I'm living, still believing that because I bought my house so I could have a house. I wasn't buying my house so I could move out my house. I bought my house so if God forbid something happened to him and he was going to give it to his kids, I would have a place to go. I would have to kick the people out of my house and I would have a place to go. That was the reason for me buying the house because I'm not going to fight with no man to give me anything. I'll just go get my own, right? So I had the house, but when things started getting crazy and crazier, I decided, it's probably best for me to go over here and live. And so that's what I did. Still hoping that we can repair the relationship if we had, if we could. But I was going to go over here. So I did. And so she came and was trying to be all in my business. And I'm telling her, because she's my friend, she's my friend. Told her everything. And then one day, my best friend calls me and says that my then husband had texted her on an accident. He was texting this friend, her name is Gail. He was texting Gail. He was supposed to be texting Gail, but he texted her on an accident and was inviting her over for dinner. Mind you, we're not fully divorced. We still kind of going back and forth and whatever, but not, but it's getting closer to we're probably moving in the divorce stage or what have you. So he invited her over for to watch the Warriors game and he was cooking some dinner and they was going, but he texted the wrong person. And so, of course, my girl gonna call me and tell me, and I was like, "Whoa!" So yeah, so I end up. It just was craziest thing in the world. Now I wish them the best. I don't think anything of it. I love, and if they're happy, then I'm happy for them. They're closer in age, so it should probably work, and it's fine. And it's over. But I'm not going to sit up here and hold secrets and stuff. This is my story, and I'm telling my story. So that is another way of like betrayal, and that I dealt with in in relationships. But yeah. So yeah, and to this day they're together, I believe. So
But see, again, you are way more forgiving than I am. Like,
it's okay.
it's amazing. And yeah, it's like that's good that you can wish them well and all that. But I think that is one reason you're on this planet, honestly, is to teach people about the power of forgiveness,
Mm.
because it's not just a phrase, it's not just like I mean, you have lived it, you have walked the walk, you can talk about it, you can help people understand how to do it, and you live and breathe it. And I still can't understand how, but you do it. You do it. You just it's something to really. It's one of your superpowers. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's I think it's well worth it. And I think sometimes when we try to get revenge and we have this I think God and the universe can do it way better than us. I don't have to do anything with that. That over there, if that's what all the stuff that has happened, everyone has to sit in their own stuff. So, I literally wish them like for real. I have no, it all worked out for the best. At the time, I didn't understand. At the time, I wasn't all this happy. But so it took some time to get here. I'm not trying to say I was all, I was just all happy for them in the beginning. No, that's not true. I was not. I didn't understand. I couldn't understand why a friend of that would do that to me. You know, it brought so much stuff up with my childhood, you know, when that happened to me. But it is what it is, you know, so it's fine. But yeah. So I don't believe that we'll ever be healed, but I also believe, I don't ever think we'll be completely healed. You know, it's just our job to get as close to healing as possible. But we always can become healthier. We always can be a more healthier person. And so that's what I aim to be, is just a more, all the stuff. And that's just, I just sharing a little bit of how, you know, I just shared a few areas where this has affected me. In my childhood has affected me in relationships and things like that. But I'm pretty sure you guys out there, my friends, I'm pretty sure you can relate to some of these things, or even have even some stories that you have. But I would just always encourage, if you can do some healing and some forgiving, and let the universe do the job, I think life will be just so much greater and better for us. So
That's really well said. You know, if you were going to leave everybody with an idea that would help them move forward on their journey with their story, like how, what would you want to say to people?
I think that just addressing your childhood traumas. I don't think you're going to do yourself, nor your partner or your family or your children, any, or your friendships, um, any good if you don't address your childhood. Because I believe they're going to visit you at some point in life. They will visit you, how you, and I'll also say, look at how maybe the way things are happening in your life is because of your childhood. I think everything results back to your childhood. And so now I won't say that abandonment, neglect, rejection, I won't say those things don't creep up in my life to this day. I think it's almost like a drug addict. That drug is probably going to always call their name. But as you get stronger and get more resources and things like that, you are able to fight those things off you. And so right now, I constantly know when those things kind of start creeping up, I need to make the necessary adjustments. Or I know, you know what, Jameka Necole, this is just your inner self going through this. You know, so you have to do that self-talk, and you have to go, no, 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 no. This is probably due to your childhood. And I think if we stop and we pay attention to, is maybe this has to do with my childhood. Maybe it's not him or her or it or that. Maybe it's, this is something I need to work on. So I would say my biggest advice is work on you. Stop worrying about what Shaquita is doing. Stop worrying about what Pookie doing. Don't worry about them. Worry about what you are doing and how you can. So even though I tell the story about my ex-husband and what he did, I still have to look at myself and say, what did I not do that I could have done better? And I do better then. So that's what I think I would share.
Okay, I
Yeah.
have another question that came to mind while you were talking. Okay, so like the, you know, we talked about grudges, we talked about revenge. I'm still on this forgiveness thing.
I don't
So
know.
like, you know, what about anger? Like to me, I'm past, you know, I see as anger as fuel. I get really productive, like I get a lot done. And I'm thinking, you know, what do you, I don't know your relationship to anger, but like it's different than grudge. It's different than revenge. I mean, there's always the
You're
rage,
absolutely
you know, that is. Like, tell me your relationship to that. What do you have to say about that?
You're absolutely right. And I'm gonna tell you, because I'm butt booty naked. You told me to get naked. I'm getting all the way naked. I'm gonna be honest with the people. You guys want to know, Jameka Necole, here it goes. I never ever experienced anger. I have been upset. I've been mad about a few things, but I've never experienced anger until about a year or two ago. I promise on everything. I always said, well, it's not cool that they did that, but you know, maybe it should have been that. Well, maybe I always excused behavior. I always justified it. I always saw, well, you know, they just didn't know better, or they just, I always did that. About a year, 2 years ago, I was angry. I was mad about things that happened in 1962, and I wasn't even born in 1962, and I was mad about it. I was angry. about it. And so God allowed me to go through that season of actually being angry about everything. I was, I never ever was angry at my birth mother. I always said, oh, I wanted to get her pardon. I was writing the president to get her pardon because she told me she didn't do it. You know what I mean? Or she never said I didn't do it, but she always say, you will figure it out when you get older. So I said, oh my God, somebody set her up. She didn't do this. And so I'm writing the president. I'm trying to get her pardon,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to do all this stuff, right? Because she didn't do it, you know? So I've always looked at people. And to this day, I can always see the good in even you could be the worst person in the world, and I can still see the good in you. So, and that's not always great because I don't always benefit from that. So it's not always great. I'm not bragging about that, but it's the truth. So God allowed me to see anger, and I was angry about everything that happened. I was outside, I was inside getting my nails done, and it was about 4 or 5 children walking and playing, eating ice cream and walking. And I have seen kids walk and play. I worked with children all my life. And that day I was angry at those kids. I said, at that age, I was in the hospital fighting for my life. These kids are running. I'm in a nail shop, dripping, crying, talking about mad at these little cute kids eating their ice cream and tagging each other as they playing around, right? Angry, angry at the world. But until then, I never had anger. I always just be like, well, I'll be mad and sad and, and all that. But I was angry. So I got that. I'm no longer angry anymore. So it's good. But I think I had to go through that. I had to go through that season as well.
I
So
like that you call it a season. I like that a
yeah,
lot. It
yeah,
is a
it was a
season.
season. Yeah, I had to get through that season. Yeah. Hmm. So if there's not too much more about it, I can kind of scan the chat to see if there's any questions. I thank you everybody for showing up tonight. I thank you for listening to this story of mine, this journey of mine. I was purposely not looking at the chat because I needed to stay focused. You saw how I kind of went through it a few times. So I had to stay focused, but I'm going to just skim through the chat real fast to see, or if you don't mind, if it was something you wanted me to see, if you can just do it. Maybe put it in the chat one more time and I can answer it so I don't have to go all the way through it. I appreciate everyone that stopped in tonight. Again, this was going to be a different kind of podcast. And I think it was important for me to do it at this time because I always, like I said, speak about our childhood, and that's always coming up. So it was important for me to let you guys know my childhood and maybe why I really, really wanted to do this podcast, and why I thought it was important for this podcast to come to life. So,
Jameka, I think you should look through the chat because people have been saying some very cool things to you. I think it's worth
oh,
it.
I don't want to read it though. Because I get to go back and see them. Because you guys want me to sit up here and be have
I think
a
these
pool
people
of.
are wonderful. They're saying really supportive, cool things to you, and you just bared your soul. And they've said some beautiful things in the chat, honestly. So
Oh, thank
even if
you.
you don't look at it right now, look at it afterwards, okay?
No, I always go back after every podcast. I go back and I try to go and comment and say things in the chat. I appreciate everyone here. So I think that I don't mind reading them. I just don't want a whole pool of water here and things. I appreciate you guys. I really, really do, for taking the time to listen to this story. I am not a speaker. I'm not any of this. I'm not even a podcaster or anything. This is something I chose to do because I want to help restore, repair, reconnect, and restore relationship and love. I really do. If I could just do one relationship, I'll be happy and pleased. So I don't take it for granted. I don't. So thank you.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see that you are gonna affect more than just one person now.
Yay. Do you have anything you want to add or you want to say, or anything that we left off you think that we need to cover?
I think that this is a good place. It's like I think you touched on relationships, how the trauma affects you, and I think it opens the conversation. I think it's never gonna be a conversation that can end, but it felt good to connect, and get it going. And I think you're gonna I think you're gonna find that you broke some things open as far as people being able to feel safe to talk about things, that are
Yeah.
usually taboo subjects. So I think that was
Hmm.
healthy. I
Oh,
commend you
thank
for
you.
that.
Oh, that's great. I love that. You know what I want to do right now, if I can, before everybody checks out, I want to brag on you. You have some exciting things happening going on right now, right?
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
want to, my friends to know a little bit about what you're doing and if they want to check out what your projects right now.
I'm just I'm just writing children's books right now, and I just published two of a series of three. I'm working on the third one, and yeah, it's like a healing for me to do it. And I think I got I got three reviews on Amazon a couple days ago, and they were all 5 star. That made me happy. I'm at the bottom of the the food chain in the Amazon world, but I feel really proud that I got it out there. And the more people that go and um, buy it, review it, the I can go up higher in that. But it doesn't really matter. I wanted to do it just like you wanted to do what you do. I wanted to give it away as like presents and Christmas, and I just I've been working on it for 9 years. I finally just have a hard copy that I can give to people. I gave one to the lady in the grocery store the other day because she was talking about like she had nothing to read for her granddaughter at night, and I was like, "Well, I've got something you can read to her," and like, and it felt so good. Like it felt really like like why I was meant to be on this planet is to help people, and I'm into that, So, and then I was in the post office the other day, and there was another person that was looking for, some, and it just came up. I said, well, I just published this. It's like, you can have one of the copies.
That's great. You know, I'm so inspired by you because I remember you starting this project. My youngest daughter is charm number 4 in this story. She's charm number 4 in this story. And so it's called Margot and the Charms of Cassie the Cat, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And can you put it in the chat, okay, so people can just go check? It's so cool, you guys. It's so cool, so colorful, and it's really cool. So 9 years ago he started this project, and then and to see it now in Amazon,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So it just said that you even if you start something, you can still see it through. You can still see it through. And I'm so proud that you saw it through, that you did not stop and you just kept it going, and you are now here at Amazon.com.
Yeah, no, I wasn't able to put it in your chat. I don't know what my thing is doing on this.
No?
No, but yeah, I just but if you
Okay,
can
let me
always
see if I
just
can do it.
find but I
Well,
appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. And
so what's that is not allowing you to do it?
yeah, I can't do it. I can't put the link in.
Okay, I'm probably it's probably going to take me off a little bit, but if you want to just tell them the name again and your name so they can find it on Amazon, and we're going to get ready to close out in a second. I'm just going to go and see if I can find it real fast. So I may go off a little bit, but I'll be right back on.
So yeah, it's called Margot and the Charms of Cassie the Cat, and and it's on my name on Amazon. And there's little book trailers, and but the best link is the one that takes you to the first book, and it's got a video, and um, it tells you about like the background of the story and like how it came about, and yeah, it's just it's really healthy. It's good for kids, and it's sparked a whole thing now. Now that I figured out how to do it, I'm just writing them like crazy. Oh wait, I think somebody
I'll
just
put
put
it,
it.
that's bedroom rooms, put it in there. Are you,
Yeah, that's it right there. Okay, thank you.
so can they see it?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the link to the Amazon. Oh, great. Yeah, great. So there it is. And if anyone, if you can't find it, you can just call, you let me know, and we can get it. We can get it
yeah,
for you.
it's all new to me. The more people that look at it, better. Um, this is all new to me. Even this podcast, everything about this night is new to me. But the more thumbs up, the more subscription, the more reviews, everything like you do in this world, I need it.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and I'm happy to bring something as well. So, but anyway, enough about me. Like, I just want to say, good for you that you did this, you know, because I've been um, really into your story for a long, long time. And it's just glad to see it that you're not giving up on it either, because like you breathe life into it every time. And sometimes something you're working on, a project, needs what they call bake time. It's got to bake for a little bit, and then you come back
Mm,
to it, you come back fresh and stronger, and you get why it everything has to have to happen in the right time. And
yeah,
this is the right time right now.
it
This is
is.
the time for what you want to say.
It is. Okay, they don't see the chat. They don't see it. So let me log on Facebook and put it in the chat in Facebook. Let me put it on the chat. What I will do is, you guys, later I will put it in the chat. I will put it underneath this podcast because my iPad is not iPadding right now. Yeah, I don't know why. It doesn't even show that I'm on on Facebook.
It's
So I
okay.
will make sure.
That's okay. We can, you
I'll
know,
do it. I will make sure I do it for real.
it's
So I will conclude with healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens one conversation, one relationship, one decision at a time. If my story encouraged even one person to take the next step towards healing, then sharing my story was worth it. So I'm so happy that you all joined tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. Thank you for getting undressed with us and chatting with us tonight. And I look forward to seeing you next week on Bedroom Noise. We're going to have the men come on, and we're going to have a panel of men next week. We're going to turn it back up again. And then the next following week, we will have the panel of women coming on, and we'll be turning that back up too. So thank you. You guys enjoy your night, and thanks for getting undressed together and chatting with me.
thank you.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.